Gino, I saw you recently talk about becoming more autonomous every day. What do you mean by that?
I mean that autonomous is really going to be a journey for our entire industry. And as we look at where customers are and what their vision is going out, 5 to 10 years from now, there is a vision of running facilities at some level, high levels of autonomy. But when we look at where we're at today, we have the ability to do parts of a facility, parts of a process, and run parts of that, that environment, that asset autonomously. So for us, it's about working with the customer to understand where they're at, what their vision is, and then put a roadmap in place that makes sense for their business to move more and more autonomous as they move through the next few years, because it's not a one piece of software install and you're there. It's going to be a journey for us and for the industry. Are we there today? No. Will we be there in 10 years? Absolutely.
There's still quite a lot of hype around AI today. And as you say, it's a journey. So where do you see AI delivering value for some of your customers today?
Sure. I think AI has been with us in this industry for a very long time. I think in areas of asset management, there's definitely use cases where AI is providing value. I think as you look at the MES and MOM space, there's areas there. I think as you look at advanced process control, there's areas there. Good example, as I talk about those different areas, is on the asset side. I could take you back there for a second. AI has been there. We've been using physics-based models, machine learning-driven models to monitor an asset. And then as you see an anomaly, you're able to respond to that anomaly. What we're now being able to do with Agentic AI technology and additional levels of AI is you have an event now with Agentic AI. What you're able to do is have that system communicate with other systems and begin to schedule the work order, to begin to schedule the work, to be able to begin to go ahead and buy the piece of equipment that needs to be replaced. And let's say it's a bearing, for example. Go ahead and buy the piece of maintenance equipment that needs to be integrated into that process to be able to fix that asset. So you're able to do all of these things now and extend, the capabilities of what have traditionally been islanded applications into different parts of the value chain that need to be closed looped in order to be made autonomous. So now you're being able to do asset management more in an autonomous framework.
When we met the last time, agentic AI was becoming a hot topic. And you mentioned it's about injecting it into that framework. When you're working with your customers today, when it comes to agentic AI, how do you advise them, or what do you say? Where do they start?
Sure, I think it's looking at a part of their process and asking themselves based on a challenge that they're having within their environment, within their ecosystem, where could you look at an application and by embedding AI technology and agentic technology and being able to help them build out that workflow, an automated workflow. What kind of problem could that solve for them? And so I think it's looking at different parts of the business, different challenges that they have in the business, and then, working alongside with them to say, is if you had an agent and this agent could initiate this workflow for you, those workflows tend to be complex with a lot of variables. If that agent can handle that for you, what would that mean for your business? And that's really where we start with our customer, is looking at the different parts of the business, the different workflows within the business, and then around the workflows that are more complex, usually more people driven, more paper driven, looking at if we put an agent in there to handle that for you, what would that mean what would that do for your business? And that's where we kind of start and work with our customers, and it's really based on specific use cases that are pain points for their business.
Now, you mentioned, AI's been around for many years in asset management and whatever. But as people start looking at agentic AI and we look at more autonomous inaction, for want of a better word, does that change any of the risk and governance around AI with agentic AI?
Sure, it's going to change the way we look at governance, right? Because today, when you think about governance, there's all companies, including us, have well thought out procedures, well built out procedures and processes around governance. But this introduces a new level, a new type of governance, because now you got to build a governance system for models. Because most companies, when I ask companies what's their governance process around model management, they don't have one. And when I ask them how are they, managing the the drift of an, because if you have these AI models, then you can be prone to drifting. I said, how are you monitoring and governing model drift? And they don't have an answer. So it's things like this. It's governance in these areas around governance around agents, governance around models, governance around around drift and feedback. So there's going to be a continuous monitoring of this AI infrastructure, governance around this AI infrastructure that most companies don't have today. And so I think that's the real area that we're seeing our industry now begin to say, oh, if this is going to be a key part of our strategy, this is going to be a key part of how we operate. If we're going to be an AI driven company, we have to get a governance around AI that we haven't had before.
We've been chatting for the last couple of years around AI, and everybody was doing pilots, and there was some great successes, but many of them they were pilots. There's still some, I would think, let's say, people are hoping for too much too quickly. So again, when you're working with your customers, what does a successful AI deployment look like?
Sure, I think with any project, it's around clear definition of what success looks like from the beginning, and making sure you have alignment there. Usually, where these projects fall short is there's not clear alignment around what success looks like. There's not clear alignment around the business process change that needs to happen associated with the project. But I think there's plenty of use cases out there around asset management, around different parts of APC applications, around different parts of MES applications where there are autonomous capabilities, where there is success. But what's most important, usually where the projects fall short is on the definition of success in the people part, in transitioning the organization. This has been a topic that's been around since I've been in the industry now, some 30 years. And just like anything else, this is a people transformation, changing how you work, becoming comfortable with the AI, doing parts of the workflow, parts of the process, and then turning that over to the systems, and then enabling yourself to provide higher value within the organization.
We're here in end of May, and the pace of change is relentless. There's new models, there's new agentic AI, there's new platforms and whatever. What do you see coming down for the next 6 months as we head into the second half of the year? What's keeping you excited?
Oh yeah, keeping me excited and keeping me up at night for sure is agent technology, and for the industry, and are we moving fast enough? Because I do think that the technology is definitely firming up. We know this technology can work. Are we moving fast enough on the ABB side to implement it into our products? We have a very aggressive roadmap. But then working with our customers to make sure our customers are moving alongside with us, because you want to get that timing right. You want to be out just far enough in front of your customers so when they're ready to move, you have the technology, but you don't want to get too far out that you've left your customer behind. And so for me, it's are we moving fast enough? Are we keeping just a few steps in front of our customer so when they're ready to move, that we're ready for them? And then I think overall, our industry, which is predominantly an automation driven industry, is the rest of our organizations, the selling side and the messaging side coming along with this. And so I think that's important as well, because you got to make sure you're not too far in front of your customers, and you got to make sure you're not too far in front of your organization.
And just on a technology point of view, I've been doing a lot recently around humanoids and obviously the next generation of robots, physical AI. Do you see any humanoids or changes in robotics coming down the line the next 6 months?
Yeah, I see changes. I see changes across the board. I see changes in software for sure. I see changes in how we build, how we design, build, and deploy automation systems changing. I see how we communicate with robot technology changing. because I think there's a great opportunity to really pull people out of harm's way with robotic technology in our industry, and I see some great progress happening on that side as well. So I think all of these systems are going to be linked together. It's going to be automation systems linked with level 3 software applications, and linked with robotic systems. I think all of those will come together over time naturally, for sure.
Well, we spoke about it at ADIPEC last year, and on the autonomous systems, you said earlier, it's all about being on the journey, and it's that convergence of all these technologies. It's not one piece of software. It's not one robot that you install and you suddenly get autonomous. It's all of that coming together. So it's a big jigsaw puzzle, but the pace of change is fascinating.
Yeah, it will come together for sure, and I think everyone's leaning into it, and we're leaning into it with our customers. And I think the real big change, I was asked recently, what's changed over the last 3 or 4 years that's made moving towards autonomy, moving towards autonomous possible, and it's really agentic AI and agentic AI workflows being able to link what were once disparate applications with agents together, and then enable agents to communicate and pass contextual information back and forth that each other need to optimize themselves and the ecosystem. That didn't exist because before you had to link all these systems together with middleware, and that was very expensive because systems are always changing, are always being updated. So you have to update that middleware connection layer. Now with agents, you just update update one application. That doesn't break your integration, and that's what's really agentic AI is really helping us move in this direction and get away from what what used to be that hub and spoke or whatever type of middleware application approach you were using.
Well, it's certainly not a dull time in the energy industry these days, and the pace of change, the convergence of technologies, it is going to be fascinating to see what the next 6-12 months brings.
Absolutely. I think it's the most exciting time to be in our industry, and I've been in this industry now for 30 years, and I think this, without a doubt, is the most exciting time in our industry by far.
Gino, thank you very much, and hopefully we'll see you somewhere before the end of the year.
Yeah, look forward to seeing you next time for sure.